Stop chasing, start changing. These few words hold more wisdom than entire books on love and relationships. Most people spend their energy running after someone who has walked away instead of using that same energy to walk back to themselves. We believe that if we just send one more message, make one more call, or explain our feelings one more time, they'll finally understand and come back. But have you noticed? The more we chase, the further they go. Imagine this: you're holding a butterfly. The tighter you try to hold it, the more it struggles and tries to escape. But if you let it sit freely on your hand, it might choose to stay. That's how love works too. When you chase someone, they feel pressure, not peace. But when you focus on growing, on glowing, on becoming your best self, your presence becomes so beautiful that people naturally feel drawn back to you. Change is not easy, especially when your heart is heavy. When the person you thought would stay forever suddenly becomes a stranger, it feels like your whole world has stopped spinning. You wake up in the morning, check your phone, scroll through old chats, stare at pictures, and ask yourself, what went wrong? But here's the truth: sometimes nothing went wrong. Sometimes life simply removes people to teach you how to stand on your own. Think about this: you chase them, you message them, you try to convince them, and still they don't respond. Every time you do that, you're telling yourself, they matter more than my peace. And slowly, your self-worth starts to fade. You stop smiling the way you used to. You stop doing things that once made you happy. You stop living. But what if, instead of chasing them, you start chasing yourself again? What if you wake up early, look in the mirror, and decide, today, I'm going to become better than I was yesterday? What if you start doing things that make your soul alive again? Reading, exercising, praying, spending time with real friends, learning something new, listening to music, and simply breathing without anxiety. When you start doing that, a beautiful transformation begins. You stop waiting for a message that may never come. You stop seeking validation from someone who couldn't see your worth. You stop depending on others to define your happiness. You realize that the person you were waiting for, the one who was supposed to make you feel loved and whole, was always you. Let me give you an example from daily life. Imagine a flower. If a flower constantly bends toward the sun, it will soon lose its strength. But when it stands tall, absorbs the light it gets, and blooms from within, the bees and butterflies come naturally. You don't see flowers running behind butterflies, do you? The fragrance attracts them. Likewise, when your life starts to blossom, when your energy becomes peaceful and powerful, people feel your fragrance. They see your strength. They feel your presence even in your silence. And suddenly, the same person who ignored your messages will start to wonder, what happened? She seems different. He'll notice that your energy has changed. You're no longer the person who begs for attention. You've become the person who commands respect. That's the magic of transformation. When you stop chasing, the world starts noticing. It's not just about making him come back. It's about making yourself come back. The version of you that laughed without fear, that dreamed without limits, that loved without losing self-respect. Remember her. She's waiting for you to return, and when you do, everything changes. I've seen people who turned their heartbreak into their biggest strength. One woman I met said that after her relationship ended, she was broken for months. But one morning, she decided to change her story. She joined a gym, started reading self-help books, took up painting, something she loved as a child. Within months, she started glowing differently, not because her ex came back, but because she came back to herself. A year later, she started her own art business. And guess what? He did come back, but she didn't need him anymore. She had become her own peace. Change doesn't mean you stop loving. It means you stop losing yourself in the name of love. You can still wish them well. You can still hold gratitude for the memories. But you don't have to hold on to their absence. The most powerful thing you can say is, I love you, but I love myself more. Every time you choose peace over panic, healing over hurting, growth over grief, you rise a little higher. And every time you rise, you attract better things, better people, better energy. Life starts moving in your favor. You see, chasing someone is like running after a shadow. The faster you run, the further it goes. But the moment you turn toward the light, toward your growth, your peace, your purpose, the shadow follows. That's how love works. So stop trying to make them see your worth. Start seeing it yourself. Stop trying to remind them what they've lost. Remind yourself what you've found. You've found strength, resilience, patience, and a quiet kind of beauty that no heartbreak can take away. When you stop chasing, you start changing. And when you start changing, you become unstoppable. So if you really want him to come back, don't cry, don't plead, don't chase. Just rise. Work on your heart, build your dreams. Smile again. Because the glow of a healed soul is far more attractive than the noise of a desperate heart. And if he's meant for you, he'll come back, not because you chased him, but because your peace called him home. And even if he doesn't, trust me, you'll be happier than ever, because you'll have discovered something even greater than love. Yourself. Silence speaks louder than words. Sometimes, what you don't say has more power than everything you could ever express. When someone walks away from you, when they stop talking, when they start ignoring your messages, your first instinct is to explain. You want to tell them how much they mean to you, how much you've done for them, how unfair they've been. But often, silence carries the message your words never can. Have you noticed how peaceful people who choose silence appear? They don't argue, they don't chase, they don't justify. They just step back, breathe, and let life speak on their behalf. Because silence is not weakness, it's wisdom in disguise. It says, I don't need to prove my worth anymore. My peace is louder than your noise. In life, there comes a time when you realize that people don't value explanations. They value experience. You can talk for hours, cry, beg, try to fix things. But if someone has already decided not to listen, your words become meaningless. That's where silence becomes your strength. It's not about ignoring them out of ego. It's about protecting your heart from unnecessary pain. Think of a calm ocean. From afar, it looks silent, still, almost emotionless. But beneath that calm surface lies immense power, depth, and mystery. That's how your silence should be. Calm on the outside, strong on the inside. The more peaceful you become, the more powerful your energy becomes. And that's when people begin to notice what they lost. In daily life, we see this everywhere. Imagine two people arguing. One keeps shouting, trying to prove their point. The other just listens, smiles gently, and walks away. Who looks stronger? Not the one who shouted, but the one who remained calm. Because silence doesn't mean you have nothing to say, it means you've realized that not everyone deserves your explanation. Let's take an example from relationships. When you stop replying, not to hurt them, but to heal yourself, something changes. At first, they might think you're being dramatic. They might even feel relieved, thinking you've finally given up. But as time passes, that silence starts to echo. They remember your kindness, your laughter, your presence. And that's when your silence begins to speak. It says, I was worth listening to, even when you didn't. The most powerful revenge is not anger, it's absence. When your silence replaces your effort, it creates space. And that space makes people think. Your silence becomes a mirror that reflects their behavior. It makes them realize how much they took for granted. It makes them feel the emptiness they once left in you. Remember, silence has a unique beauty. It gives you time to reflect, to heal, to grow. You can hear your own thoughts more clearly. You start to understand what you truly want, what you truly deserve. When you stop arguing for your value, you start living in your truth. And truth doesn't need noise to shine. It shines quietly, like the moon in the night sky. In our daily routine, silence can transform everything. When your colleague says something rude and you choose not to respond, your silence disarms them. When your friend misunderstands you, and instead of reacting, you just smile and let time reveal the truth, your silence protects your peace. When your partner ignores you, and you stop explaining yourself again and again, your silence teaches them your worth. There's something magnetic about a person who knows when to stay silent. It's not about arrogance, it's about maturity. It's about knowing that your energy is too valuable to waste on proving a point to someone who isn't listening. The one who truly loves you will feel your silence. They'll sense your withdrawal. And if they care, they'll return, not because you argued, but because your peace reminded them of what they lost. Silence doesn't mean giving up. It means you're choosing peace over drama, clarity over confusion, healing over chaos. It's like watering your own garden instead of chasing after someone else's. You stop waiting for apologies. You stop expecting understanding. You simply grow. And as you grow, your silence becomes sacred. People often fear silence because they mistake it for loneliness. But silence is not empty, it's full of answers. In silence, you hear the whispers of your own heart. You hear the voice of God, the calm assurance that everything will be fine. You start to trust life more. You start to trust yourself more. A woman who learns to be silent in the right moments becomes powerful beyond imagination. Her energy shifts. Her eyes speak what her lips no longer need to. Her peace becomes her crown. And everyone who once ignored her starts to wonder, why does she seem so calm? So different? That's the beauty of silence. It doesn't shout for attention. It attracts it. When you choose silence, you're not running away. You're rising above. You're saying, I'm done explaining myself to people who are committed to misunderstanding me. You're saying, I deserve peace more than I need validation. That's not weakness. That's strength. Because it takes immense courage to walk away quietly when your heart wants to scream. And in time, silence reveals everything. People who were meant to stay will return. Those who weren't will drift away completely. But you'll remain peaceful, stronger, wiser, and more in love with yourself than ever before. So when someone hurts you, disrespects you, or walks away, don't chase them with words. Let silence do the talking. Because silence says, I still care, but I care more about myself now. Silence says, you can ignore me, but you can't forget me. Silence says, my worth doesn't depend on your attention. In the end, remember this, the loudest cry is silent tears, and the strongest statement is a quiet exit. You don't need to shout to make people hear your value. Just live peacefully. Let your silence speak volumes. Because the truth is, silence doesn't end the story. It begins a new chapter. One where you are no longer chasing but cherishing. One where you no longer explain but evolve. And in that silence, you'll find something far greater than their attention. You'll find your peace. Heal, don't hate. These 3 words can change your entire life if you truly understand them. When someone breaks your heart, betrays your trust, or walks away without explanation, the first emotion that rises inside you is pain. And behind that pain hides anger, resentment, and bitterness. You start to think, how could they do this to me? After everything I gave, after all the love, why did they hurt me? These questions turn into sleepless nights, overthinking, tears that no one sees, and a heart that slowly begins to harden. But here's the truth. Hating them doesn't heal you. It only chains you to the past. When you hold on to hate, it's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. The more you think about revenge, the more you lose your peace. The more you hold on to the pain, the more it holds on to you. Healing doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means accepting that it happened and choosing peace anyway. Let me give you a small example. Imagine you're walking barefoot and a sharp thorn pricks your foot. It hurts so much that you stop in pain. Now you have 2 choices. You can either keep walking, angry at the thorn, cursing the ground, blaming everything around you, or you can sit down, remove the thorn gently, clean the wound, and move on. Hating the thorn won't make the pain go away. Healing the wound will. Life is exactly like that. When someone hurts you, don't keep replaying it in your mind. Don't let that pain grow roots inside you. Pull it out, gently but firmly, and let yourself heal. You see, when you hate someone, you continue to give them power over you. They may have walked away, but through your anger, they still control your emotions. They live rent-free in your heart and mind. But when you decide to heal, you take your power back. You say, you hurt me, but you can't destroy me. That's where strength begins, not in revenge, but in recovery. In daily life, we meet so many people who carry silent wounds. Some are smiling outside but broken inside. They say they've moved on, but deep down, they're still replaying old memories, still feeling the sting of betrayal. They keep checking the person's social media, comparing themselves, wondering if the other person is happy without them. That's not healing. That's hurting yourself again and again. Healing begins when you stop looking back and start looking within. I once met a woman who was deeply in love. She gave everything, her time, her trust, her heart. But one day, he left her without even a goodbye. She was shattered. For months, she cried, blamed him, blamed herself, and lost all confidence. But one morning, she woke up and said, "Enough. I can't live like this." She joined a yoga class, started reading spiritual books, spent time in nature, and surrounded herself with people who lifted her up instead of tearing her down. Slowly, she began to feel peace again. One day, she looked in the mirror and realized something. She no longer hated him. She didn't need to, because she had healed. That's the beauty of healing. It transforms your pain into power. You stop seeing yourself as a victim and start seeing yourself as a survivor. The very things that once broke you now build you. You become softer, wiser, more compassionate. You stop asking, "Why did this happen to me?" and start saying, "It happened for me, to make me stronger, to teach me who I truly am." A heat keeps you stuck in the same place, repeating the same story. Healing moves you forward into a new chapter. Hate fills your heart with darkness. Healing fills it with light. And that light becomes your new strength. When you forgive, it doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're strong enough to say, "I won't let your actions define my future." Sometimes people think healing means you'll never feel hurt again. That's not true. Healing means the pain no longer controls your life. You may still remember what happened, but the memory won't make you cry anymore. You can look back, smile, and say, "I made it through." That's real healing. In our daily lives, small moments can teach us this lesson. Maybe a friend betrayed you, a partner lied, a colleague took credit for your work, or a family member disappointed you. These things hurt, but holding on to hate only adds more weight to your heart. Every time you choose to let go, you make space for peace. When you stop blaming, you start blooming. Nature teaches us this too. After a storm, trees lose branches, flowers lose petals, but they don't stop growing. They stand tall again, greener and stronger. The storm didn't destroy them, it renewed them. In the same way, heartbreak and betrayal don't have to destroy you. They can renew you if you choose to heal instead of hate. Forgiveness is not saying what they did was okay. It's saying, "I deserve to be free from this pain." It's an act of self-love. When you forgive, you're not giving them a gift. You're giving yourself one. You're saying, "My peace is worth more than my pride." Healing is quiet. It doesn't happen overnight. Some days, you'll feel like you're moving backward, but even then you're growing. Because every tear, every reflection, every deep breath is part of the process. Don't rush it. Let it unfold gently. And one day, when you least expect it, you'll realize that the pain has lost its power. You'll see them somewhere, maybe hear their name, and feel nothing. No anger, no bitterness, just calm acceptance. That's when you'll know you've truly healed. So don't let hatred define your story. Let healing do that. Don't waste your precious energy wishing them pain. Use it to build your peace. Because hate makes you heavy, but healing makes you free. And freedom, emotional freedom, is the most beautiful form of love you can ever give yourself. Remember this always. Hate may give you a moment of satisfaction, but healing gives you a lifetime of peace. And that peace, that inner calm, is what will make you truly powerful, truly radiant, and truly alive again. Heal, don't hate, because your heart was made for love, not bitterness. Build your inner glow. These words are not about outer beauty or how perfect you look in a mirror. They are about the light that shines from within, a light that no heartbreak, rejection, or disappointment can dim. True beauty is not seen in flawless skin or expensive clothes. It's felt in the peace that surrounds you when you walk into a room. It's in your calmness, your confidence, and your kindness. The kind of glow that makes people feel safe in your presence. The one that comes not from makeup, but from meaning, not from attention, but from alignment with your soul. Every one of us has gone through moments that dimmed our light. Maybe someone left us, betrayed us, or made us feel like we weren't good enough. And during those times, it's easy to think that our worth depends on how others see us. But your inner glow isn't about how they see you. It's about how you see yourself. When you love yourself enough to take care of your mind, your body, and your spirit, something magical happens. You start to shine differently. Have you ever met someone who just seems radiant for no reason? They're not the richest, not the most famous, not even the most glamorous, but they carry peace. When they speak with kindness. When they smile, it feels genuine. That is the power of the inner glow. It's not about appearance, it's about energy. It's about the calm confidence that says, I don't need to prove anything, I'm enough. In daily life, we often chase things that we believe will make us glow, new clothes, likes on social media, compliments from others. But these are temporary lights, they fade as quickly as they come. The real glow is built slowly, patiently, from the inside out. It comes from the moments you choose peace over drama, gratitude over complaining, kindness over revenge, and faith over fear. Think about this: when a candle burns, it doesn't lose anything by lighting another candle. Instead, the world becomes brighter. Your inner glow works the same way. The more you spread kindness, the more your light grows. When you encourage someone, forgive someone, or help someone, you're not just making their day better, you're feeding your own soul. And that's what makes you truly beautiful. There's a woman I once met who had gone through a painful divorce. She was heartbroken, lost, and doubted her worth. But instead of giving up, she made a decision to rebuild herself. One day at a time, she started taking morning walks, reading uplifting books, praying, journaling her feelings, and focusing on gratitude. She stopped waiting for someone to make her feel special and started creating that feeling within herself. Months later, she was a different person, peaceful, confident, and full of light. People noticed the change. They asked her, "What's your secret?" She smiled and said, "I stopped trying to look beautiful and started trying to feel beautiful." That's what building your inner glow does. It transforms pain into peace and chaos into calmness. Your inner glow is not about perfection, it's about peace. You can be healing from heartbreak and still radiate warmth. You can be rebuilding your life and still carry light. Because the glow doesn't come from having everything, it comes from appreciating everything. When you stop comparing your life to others, when you stop seeking validation from people who don't even understand your soul, that's when your light starts to grow brighter. Let me share a simple daily example. Imagine you're stuck in traffic Already late, and someone cuts in front of you. Your first reaction might be anger. You want to honk, shout, or curse. But then you take a deep breath and think, maybe they're rushing to the hospital, maybe they're having a bad day, and you let it go. That one moment of patience is a spark of inner glow. Because it's not just about reacting less, it's about living with more awareness and compassion. Or imagine someone criticizes you unfairly. You feel hurt and want to defend yourself. But instead of arguing, you choose silence. You know your truth and don't need to prove it. That peace you choose. That's your glow. You're no longer giving others control over your emotions. You've learned that your light shines brightest when you protect your peace. When you start focusing on your inner glow, you begin to attract different things: calmer people, deeper relationships, better opportunities. Why? Because energy recognizes energy. A peaceful heart draws peaceful people. A grateful soul attracts more reasons to be grateful. And the more you focus on nurturing your inner light, the less interested you become in impressing others. There's something deeply attractive about a person who carries peace. You can feel their strength in their silence, their confidence in their humility, their joy in their gratitude. They don't need to chase attention. Their glow demands it naturally. That's the kind of beauty that lasts forever. Outer beauty fades, but inner beauty grows brighter with time. Every time you take care of yourself, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, your glow strengthens. Every time you choose forgiveness over hate, calmness over chaos, faith over doubt, your light expands. That's how you build your inner glow, decision by decision, moment by moment. So, start today. Spend some time in nature. Read something uplifting. Pray. Meditate, eat well. Speak kindly. Sleep peacefully. Love deeply. These small acts are like polishing your inner mirror. Every kind thought, every peaceful choice makes you shine a little more. And one day, someone will look at you and wonder, why does she seem so radiant? They'll think it's your smile, your eyes, or your charm. But you'll know the truth. It's your soul. It's the light that comes from having walked through darkness and still choosing love. Because that's what the inner glow truly is. The quiet fire that keeps burning inside you, no matter what storms come your way. It's the faith that whispers, I will rise again. It's the peace that says, I'm grateful for what I have. And it's the strength that declares, no matter who leaves, I will never abandon myself. So build your inner glow, not for anyone else, but for yourself. Because when your soul shines, your world transforms. And that glow, that calm, radiant light within you will make you unstoppable, unshakable, and beautifully alive. Focus on growth, not revenge. These words may sound simple, but they hold deep power. When someone hurts you, betrays you, or walks away without explanation, your first reaction is not peace. It's anger. It's the burning desire to make them feel the same pain you felt. You want them to regret losing you, to see your worth, to miss you so badly that they realize what they destroyed. That's human nature. But the truth is, revenge doesn't heal you, growth does. Revenge is fueled by ego, growth is fueled by peace. When you focus on revenge, your energy stays stuck in the past. You replay old memories, you think about ways to make them notice you again. You want them to see you winning just to prove them wrong. But when you focus on growth, you shift your energy toward the future. You no longer need to prove anything. You simply become better, stronger, and more peaceful. Revenge seeks attention. Growth creates transformation. Let's understand this with a simple daily life example. Imagine someone insulted you in public, humiliated you, or betrayed your trust. The immediate instinct is to fight back, to say something harsher, to hurt them the way they hurt you. But imagine instead you say nothing. You smile, walk away, and decide to use that moment as motivation to become better. You start focusing on your work, your fitness, your dreams, your peace. A few months later, you're thriving, you're glowing differently. The same people who laughed at you now watch you with silent respect. That's the beauty of growth. It's the loudest revenge, yet it needs no noise. Revenge keeps you small because it ties your success to someone else's failure. Growth, on the other hand, makes you limitless because it's about you. When you grow, you realize you don't need to make anyone feel sorry. Life will take care of that. Karma is not always about punishment. Sometimes, karma is watching someone live peacefully while the person who hurt them wonders why they can't. I once heard a story about two people. Both were betrayed in love. The first person spent years trying to get back at their ex, spreading rumors, posting fake happiness, trying to make them jealous. But deep down, they were still stuck, still bitter. The second person chose a different path. They cried, they healed, they forgave, and then they focused on self-improvement. They started learning new skills, traveling, helping others, building their life brick by brick. Years later, that second person was unrecognizable, not because they wanted revenge, but because they chose growth. And guess what? The first person was still complaining, still angry, still stuck in the same story. That's the difference between those who grow and those who get even. Revenge gives you temporary satisfaction, but growth gives you lifelong peace. When you chase revenge, your mind becomes noisy. You think of them constantly. You imagine scenarios. You waste time trying to prove you're doing better. But when you focus on growth, you find real happiness, the kind that doesn't need an audience. You stop needing them to see your worth because you see it. You stop wishing for their return because you've outgrown them. Look around in daily life. You'll see this pattern everywhere. The student who was once mocked by classmates and instead of arguing, worked hard until they topped the class. The employee who was treated unfairly and instead of complaining, learned new skills and became successful in another company. The woman who was left heartbroken and instead of begging him to stay, worked on herself until she became so peaceful that people started asking for the secret behind her glow. These are not stories of revenge. They're stories of growth. Growth is quiet, but it speaks volumes. You don't have to announce it. The way you carry yourself, the way you smile again, the peace in your eyes, that's how the world knows you've risen. Growth is not about becoming bitter. It's about becoming better. When you focus on growth, you discover something powerful. You no longer want revenge. The need to hurt someone fades because you realize they already taught you the lesson you needed. They showed you your strength. Their betrayal pushed you to your purpose. You start to thank them silently Because if they hadn't hurt you, you might never have discovered how strong you truly are. Imagine a seed buried deep underground. The darkness, the weight of the soil, it feels like the end. But the seed doesn't fight the soil, it grows through it. Slowly, it rises toward the light. That's what growth is. Life will bury you sometimes, with pain, rejection, betrayal. But if you focus on growing instead of fighting, you'll bloom. And when you bloom, everyone who once doubted you will see it. But by then, you won't care anymore. Because the best part about growth is realizing you no longer need their validation. You've outgrown the version of yourself that depended on their approval. You found peace within yourself, and that peace is priceless. You see, revenge is like fire. It burns everything, your energy, your focus, your joy. But growth is like sunlight. It nourishes, it warms, it heals. When you choose growth, you turn pain into power, heartbreak into wisdom, and rejection into redirection. There's a saying, don't waste time proving them wrong. Spend that time proving yourself right. When you focus on growth, you do exactly that. You start setting new goals, building new habits, and surrounding yourself with positivity. You no longer compete with others. You compete with who you were yesterday. Every day you rise a little higher, and that's where real success begins. Revenge fades quickly, people forget it. But growth lasts forever. It shapes who you become. So, the next time someone hurts you, don't waste your tears or your energy trying to hurt them back. Instead, turn that pain into fuel. Use it to push yourself toward your dreams, your peace, and your highest potential. Because one day, when you're standing tall, happy, peaceful, and successful, you'll realize you didn't need revenge. Your growth was enough. The best way to get even is not to make them suffer. It's to live so well that your life becomes proof of your strength. So focus on growth, not revenge. Let your success be your story and your peace be your victory. Because nothing shines brighter than a soul that refused to stay broken and chose to rise instead.